Everyone wants laser, but most people don't realize that laser covers dozens of completely different devices and targeting completely different things in your skin. And using the wrong one for your concern doesn't just give you no results, it can make things worse. Today I'm breaking down how lasers actually work, what CO2 is doing to your skin, and how to know whether you're a candidate for the right treatments, not just the trending ones. How lasers actually work, the foundation. Lasers aren't magic, they're physics. And once you understand the physics, every treatment decision makes a lot more sense. The key concept, selective photothermolysis. That's a long word, but the idea is simple. Every laser targets a specific substance in your skin. We call that substance a chromophore. It's just the target that the light energy is attracted to. When the wavelength is right and the energy is calibrated correctly, the laser selects the target while leaving the surrounding tissue alone. The principle, targeting one thing without destroying everything around it. It's called selective photothermolysis. It's the foundation for every aesthetic laser treatment. What that actually means in practice. Different concerns in the skin require different targets. Hair reduction targets melanin and sometimes blood supply. Tattoo and PMU removal targets ink and pigment particles in the skin. Vascular treatments target hemoglobin in the blood vessels. Texture and collagen remodeling targets water in the skin cells. This is exactly why one laser can't do everything. A device designed to target hemoglobin isn't going to remodel collagen. They are different tools for different jobs. One more thing before we go further. More energy does not mean better results. If we deliver so much energy that we destroy the target and the surrounding tissue, we've missed the point entirely. We've also created risk. The goal is precision, not intensity. A quick note on IPL. You'll hear a lot about IPL, intense pulse light, often marketed alongside laser treatments. I want to be clear, IPL is not laser. IPL uses non-coherent light spread across a broad range of wavelengths. It can be great for certain color concerns, but it's a different tool entirely, and knowing the difference matters before you book. The 3 lanes of skin rejuvenation. When people say they want skin rejuvenation, they're almost always talking about one of these 3 things. I call them the 3 lanes. Lane 1, color correction. This is for sunspots, age spots, redness, and visible vessels. Anything that is a color concern rather than a texture concern. The tools for this lane is IPL, BBL, and certain devices like Q-switched and pico-styled technology. These work by targeting a chromophore, melanin for brown spots, and hemoglobin for red, heating it and letting your body clear it as part of the process. Lane 2, texture correction. This is for fine line, enlarged pores, acne scarring, overall roughness, and an uneven texture. This is where fractional lasers, including CO2, live, and it's where we're spending most of our time today. Lane 3, tightening. This is about laxity, skin that's losing firmness and needs a tightening response. The tools here are radiofrequency and ultrasound devices. They create bulk heating in the dermis without creating a surfaced wound. These can be helpful for a mild to moderate laxity, but they're not the same as resurfacing and they don't replace texture correction. Most people come in wanting to treat one lane with a device used for another. Understanding what lane you're in is the first step to choosing the right treatment and getting a result you can actually see. CO2 versus Fraxel versus Erbium versus Halo. What is the actual difference? Clients come in asking for these by name like they're interchangeable. They're not. Let me break down the simplest way to understand each one. CO2, carbon dioxide laser. CO2 is often the strongest option for texture remodeling. It targets water in the skin cells, creating controlled thermal injury, and triggers your body's wound healing response, which rebuilds collagen over time. The trade-off: more downtime and more aftercare responsibility. You need to be a good candidate and you need to follow the plan. This is best for deeper texture concerns, significant acne scarring, lines, scar remodeling, and enlarged pores. Fraxel is a brand name. In everyday language, people usually mean a fractional laser treatment, often non-ablative with less downtime than CO2. Best for texture and tone refinements, early lines, pores, and mild scarring. The trade-off: it usually requires a series for best results rather than one strong treatment. Erbium, YAG. This also targets water in the skin, but usually more superficially than a CO2. Good for fine lines, texture, polishing, and precision work. This is a great option when you want resurfacing, but you're being more conservative. Lower risk profile, shorter recovery. The trade-off: it may not be the best option for deeper scarring or heavier texture compared to CO2. Halo. Halo is a brand name for hybrid fractional laser. It's ablative and non-ablative in one session. It is designed to address both surface level and deeper concerns at the same time. Tone, texture, sun damage, early lines. People choose it for a more comprehensive fresh with moderate downtime. The trade-off: it's still a real healing process. Results depend heavily on settings, skin type, and aftercare consistency. Bottom line, these are all legitimate tools, but they're not the same intensity, not the same targets, and not the same healing experience. The right one depends on your skin type, your concern, your downtime tolerance, and your history. Fractional versus full ablative, the section that most clients need to know. CO2 is an ablative laser. It targets water in the skin cells and removes tissue in a controlled way to trigger healing and collagen remodeling. But not all CO2 treatments are the same. There are two main delivery approaches and they are very different. Fractional ablative, the most common approach in modern aesthetics. Fractional means we treat the skin in a pattern of tiny microcolumns, leaving healthy bridges of untreated skin in between. Those healthy bridges speed healing, reduce risk, and make recovery more manageable compared to treating the entire surface. Here's a way to picture it. Fractional ablative is like irrigating a lawn. Tiny channels punched through with healthy grass in between still standing. The lawn recovers faster because most of it is still intact. Full field ablative, less common and more intensive. Full ablative means the laser treats the entire surface area. No untreated bridges left behind. This can deliver more dramatic resurfacing, but it comes with significantly more downtime, more risk, and much stricter candidate selection and aftercare requirements. Using the same analogy, full ablative is like removing the entire top layer of the lawn. Bigger reset, bigger healing. For most people considering CO2, fractional ablative is the more appropriate approach. Strong results with a better safety profile when you are properly selected and properly prepped. Full ablative is reserved for specific cases with careful planning and always realistic expectations going in. What CO2 actually helps and what it doesn't replace. CO2 is a texture tool, and here's what that means in practice. CO2 can improve fine lines and crinkles, but the results do vary depending on depth and skin type. Enlarged pores, acne scarring and texture irregularities, certain scars and stretch marks. This can have a drastic improvement, but not full elimination. CO2 does not replace neurotoxins for deep muscle fold wrinkles. Things like 11 lines between the brows are driven by muscle movements. CO2 doesn't address muscle activity. Fillers for volume loss. If the issues are hollowed cheeks and deflated lips, that's a volume conversation, not a texture conversation. Understanding this prevents disappointment. CO2 is one of the most powerful tools available for texture, but it works best when it's chosen for the right reasons and the right concerns. Candidate selection, how I decide what's appropriate. The best results for texture treatments comes from choosing the right client and the right intensity. Things I'm screening for in a CO2 consultation. Significant sun sensitivity or very recent sun exposure. Thinning or fragile skin, recent Accutane use. This typically requires a waiting period for any resurfacing. Strong prescription retinoids. These may need to be paused before or after any treatments. Certain antibiotics that cause photosensitivity. History of any cold sores, especially around the mouth. We treat to prevent an outbreak triggered by this procedure. Melasma, the turn down the heat rule. Melasma is a condition where too much heat, inflammation, or UV exposure triggers pigment production. If melasma is a part of your history, we do not go aggressive. We go slower, we manage heat carefully, and we build a plan that prioritizes stability over speed. Pushing melasma with a strong resurfacing treatment can make it significantly worse. This is one of the most important contraindication conversations that I have. If you have melasma and someone is recommending an aggressive laser without a detailed conversation about your history, I'd encourage you to get a second opinion. Where chemical peels fit in. Chemical peels use controlled chemical exfoliation to remove damaged surface layers and stimulate renewal. They are not the same tool as CO2, but in the right plan, they complement each other well. Peels are a great option for surface texture, brightness, and supporting pigment work, especially when we need to be cautious about heat or intensity. For some clients, a series of chemical peels is the right starting point before considering a laser treatment. For others, peels are an ongoing maintenance tool that keeps results from CO2 looking their best in between sessions. I still love peels. They're predictable, they're versatile, and in the right hands, they deliver results that most people underestimate. What to expect from a CO2? Results, timeline, and aftercare. CO2 results are not instant. In the days immediately after your treatment, your skin is in active healing mode. You'll see some redness, swelling, and for more advanced treatments, peeling and flaking as the skin sheds and remodels itself. You'll see early changes as you heal, but the deeper remodeling, the collagen rebuilding that produces the most significant long-term improvement takes months. Final results can take 3 to 6 months as new collagen continues to form. Patience is part of the process. Aftercare is not optional. It makes or breaks your results. I'll give you a detailed day-by-day plan, and following it is just as important as the treatment itself. General principles. Keep it clean. Do not pick. Avoid activities until I clear you, especially retinoids, and follow the protocol. Occlusives, like Aquaphor, can be helpful in the early healing phase, but timing matters. We don't want to trap the heat too early. It can cause issues like a milia outbreak. A few procedure standards worth knowing. I like to feather the jawline for a natural blend into the untreated skin. I avoid hairline and eyebrows. I am very cautious around the eye area and the technique that I use, and also the amount of heat that is being used. These aren't arbitrary rules. They are about making sure the results look like you, just better. This is what it actually means for you. I cover a lot of ground in this video. Physics, devices, technique, client selection, aftercare. But here's what I actually want you to take away from it all. The goal of this video isn't to make you an expert in laser physics. It's to make sure that when you walk into a consultation that you can ask the right questions and recognize a provider who knows how to answer them. You should be able to walk in and ask, which lane does my concern fall into? What chromophore are we targeting? Am I a candidate for this specific device? Or is there something better suited for my skin type and my history? If a provider can answer those questions clearly and confidently, you are in the right room. If they can't, or if the conversation skips those steps entirely and goes straight into booking, that's information too. Texture is where I live. CO2 is the tool that I trust most for it, but not because it's the strongest option on the market. Because when it is chosen correctly, prepped correctly, and supported correctly, the results are lasting, refined, and worth the investment. That's the standard I hold. And it starts with an honest consultation, not a trending treatment. If texture is your main concern, fine lines, pores, acne scarring, rough texture, or scar rehab, book a consultation. I'll assess your skin, your pigment risk, your downtime tolerance, and build a plan that fits your goals without over-treating you. Drop your questions below. And if this was helpful, share it with somebody who has been confused about which laser is right for them.